Well, everybody's heard about the bird. The bird's a winner, well, a bird.
Grown men watch this shit?
A podcast about indie wrestling.
Bird is a winner, well, a bird. Well, a bird is a winner, well, a bird. The bird's a winner, well, a bird. Well, a bird is a winner, well, a bird.
Here we go. All right, guys, welcome to episode 16. Oh, wow. 16 of
Grown men watch this shit?
Apparently we do. We do all the way into the year 2019. How weird does that sound, guys? Wow.
It's the future.
The future.
Isn't Blade Runner supposed to happen now?
I think so. We're like in some sort of Conan O'Brien future sketch. I hope everyone's got their...
year 2000.
Yay! That one. And to acknowledge the third man laughing in the booth here, joining Mr. Jeremy Tate, as well as myself, Chris, we have the fabulous Youngboy, Josh Smith. What's going on, bud?
But whose side is he on? The third man.
Third
Hey guys,
man.
thanks for having me on. Yeah. Thanks for
That was
having
an
me on the
NWO
show.
reference. Chris, you didn't catch the NWO reference he was throwing out there, did you?
I'm pretty sure I was all... No, I didn't.
Welcome, sir.
Welcome to the show, Mr. Hulk Hogan. It's good to have you here.
Oh, don't call me that. I have a lot of people upset at me.
I
No,
can
brother,
understand.
if that now, brother.
But no, thanks for having me on the show. I enjoyed it the last time, and you guys said you'd have me back on, and then you hit me up in the middle of the night the other night, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, sweet, like let's do it. I'm super excited because obviously I'm a mark for your guys' show, so
Aw.
yeah, I'm really glad to be back on.
Oh, it's
Well,
great to
we
have you, bud.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
Well, before we get to the fun, I think we all should, at least just for a brief moment,
Ooh,
give a shout out to one Mean Gene Okerlund who recently passed away.
for real.
Oh.
Yeah, man. Actually hit pretty hard. How about you guys?
Yeah, like the voice of a generation, pretty much. Like, to me, he was like always the nice dad of wrestling. You know, he was like the I don't. It was totally one of those ones that just get you off at a surprise. I mean, Vader was the same way for me last year. There's just some guys where you're like, he'll just be around forever, and then he's not.
Yeah, I mean, when you think of the glory days of WWF, you think of the different voices. You've got like Gorilla Monsoon and, Mean Gene Okerlund, and those guys are right there. And I mean, they defined, what that product was at that time. And I mean, it defined our childhoods basically.
Yeah.
For sure.
And like with all
But
of
yeah,
the
I mean-
crazy, wacky personalities of wrestling, like it's so important to have that straight man, like that nice guy straight man presence for all of those crazy Randy Savages and Hulk Hogan's
Yes.
and Ultimate Warriors to just bounce off of. And Mean Gene was so perfect at that. Even like into WCW, he was like on fire. Like I even remember like when I was still struggling through like 2000s WCW, like Mean Gene was still just fucking on point. Like, I remember there was a promo where he was just giving shit to the Natural Born Thrillers, just like they're trying to intimidate him.
The Natural Born Thrillers, my God.
Yeah, amazing name. One of my favorite things is in WCW as well is that him and Brett's offering the opportunity up to somebody to challenge him for the United States Championship. And he's like, how about El Dandy? And he's like, El Dandy? What are you talking about? And Brett's like, who are you to doubt El Dandy? So
I
will
still need
never
that
forget
on a
Gene for
shirt.
doubting El Dandy.
I
Here-
always
here's the
need
thing,
that on a shirt.
I freaking love El Dandy. Like,
too.
you guys don't even.
So great. Like those
You guys
El
don't even
Dandy
know,
versus like wasn't it like El Dandy versus Blue Panther matches? Like those things were fucking out of this world. Like guy is just
That
insanely
match- all
talented.
those-
That
All
match
those
is really
multi-family
good. I
matches.
like his hair matches though from the late '80s with like Emilio Charles and like Pirata
Oh, deep.
Morgan.
All those awesome OG CMLL guys. So great.
Oh my God!
yeah, like,
But yeah,
yeah.
Just, not to go too deep down the rabbit hole of wrestling fandom.
I'll just go down the
I-
rabbit hole of El Dandy. Sorry, Mean Gene. We're
Yeah.
talking about El Dandy now.
I think the thing with Mean Gene is not just that he defined the product, but that almost everybody who is an interviewer or a sports broadcaster, they all recognize that kind of what you mentioned, Chris, like with his timing, like he was literally the best ever at what he did.
Yeah, like I see him in the same vein as like that just being perfect for the product, like a Lance Russell from Memphis. Like he was
Or
just
Gordon
as good.
Soley.
Yeah, Gordon Soley, or what's the dude from the Stampede territory? He was very similar in terms of being that just nice, authoritative dad presence for everyone to do their crazy shit off of.
I didn't watch Stampede.
I'll work this out later for the fastidious fussing that I do on these things. No one cares.
Yeah, we'll just edit it in. We'll edit it in there. We'll make it look like you're real quick. You pull it up right away. You're like, boom, slam. I know
Yeah.
the reference.
For
Yeah,
real.
Chris will be like, "What was his name?" And then all of a sudden, like a total different
Ed
soundbite.
Whalen.
Like,
yeah.
oh yeah, Ed Whalen.
Yeah. Boom.
Of course.
It was
Of
while
course,
I
Ed
was
Whalen.
it was while I was googling it, like before I even actually got it, like just the
Sure.
process of typing it in. Then it's like, yeah, of course.
But you're right, dude. Like, there's so many weird. Even Gene could also be pretty funny at times, like just throwing one-liners out at people, or if they like. There's also some clips where somebody will fuck up and Gene can't help but laugh, like the one with Wendy Richter, I think.
Mm.
Yeah, he's just a legend, and yeah, hell of a way to start off 2019. What a fucking bummer.
Yeah.
There was someone from WrestleMania 1. I can't remember who it was. It was a baseball figure that was like the timekeeper at WrestleMania 1, and he showed up freaking bombed to the interview with Mean Gene, and Mean Gene just like was the consummate professional, made him look like gold, but you could just tell like in hindsight that he was like completely smashed.
Nice.
You think Gene would have a little bit of experience with that, with doing the interview circuit with all those dudes fucking coked out of their minds in the WWF through that period. So just
Billy
the man.
Martin.
Billy Martin, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I mean, Gene's just his interplay with all of those guys, like him and Bobby Heenan, just the way they'd sort of like bounce off of one another was just fabulous. Just so many guys.
Even things you think of like things he'd say to be like, "Gentlemen, try to have some decorum." Like, so good.
We need more of that in wrestling in 2019. I think. There's not enough like voices of sanity and just moral fiber. We need.
Yeah, they make all the backstage guys. It's like it's actually some young dude that's no one's gonna be intimidated by. Like, you don't take this guy seriously. Don't get me wrong. Like guys like, I think, was it Tom Phillips or Todd Phillips? That stupid gag with Chris Jericho and Kevin Owens always still fucks me up.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Tom
yeah,
Phillips was
That's
good. but
hilarious.
Yeah.
But yeah, backstage when he used to do interviews, like he was good, but you never like really took him seriously, like Mean Gene, where you actually would want to listen to him, like he's getting down to the nitty gritty. Gene, consummate professional, as you all said, and yeah, no one will live up to that, I don't think.
For real,
Even
I'm
like,
cracking open a coldie to Gene right now.
Mm-hmm.
Cheers,
I
Gene.
got one too.
Ooh,
Cheers, guys.
cheers.
Ew.
Even that end up. Oh my god.
ASMR.
Even the NWO like debut that we were kind of alluding to, like his role with Hulk Hogan is like probably one of his career highlights, I would say.
I can't disagree, actually. Yeah, it really sets the tone, makes it like because Gene and Hogan are so tied together, it's perfect. Which is unfortunately why WWE thinks it's okay to bring Hulk Hogan back on Monday, but you know,
Oh man,
whatever.
Right. It'll be interesting how it goes. Like whether it's just like a real low key, you know, not coming out to the music. Just I'm here for Mean Gene. Say something nice about Mean Gene, then that's it. Or whether, like we're saying, it's just going to be some bullshit way.
If it's Terry, that'll be interesting. If it's not Hulk Hogan, it's Terry Bollea that comes out there. That might be interesting.
Well, you know, I live in Clearwater, Florida, so I see Terry all the time.
Oh goodness.
Yeah.
Wait, so are we talking? No, I'm not going to go into that. I was going to go into the Hulk Hogan Terry, which is his dick thing, but we don't need that.
Hulk Hogan doesn't have a beard. Harry Bollea's penis is not that big. Hulk Hogan's penis, on
10
the other
foot.
hand, leg dropping motherfuckers with it.
It's over huge, guys.
Yeah. Oh, what a tribute to Mean Gene. We got to talking about Hogan's penis. Well, anyway, let's move on.
We selling it. Fuck.
God bless Gene. We love you.
We love you, Gene.
R.I.P. buddy.
All right. So, with this episode, I wanted to. I mean, it's the new year. All the motherfuckers are doing it, but at the same time, I feel like it is a good time to look back on just all those things that happened in 2018. When you look back and you think about it, and like sort of the mindset that we had going into 2018, and now it's crazy how different it is. So I thought it'd be good just for us to kind of go through a little bit of a recollection and the highs, the lows, and just sort of how that affects where we are now. We've obviously had some huge groundbreaking announcements over the last couple of weeks with All Elite Wrestling, all the stuff with the potential exodus from New Japan, and the hints that we got from Wrestle Kingdom and New Year's Dash. It's a crazy time right now, so I thought it'd be a good time to both reflect and maybe look forward. And I'm very happy that we're able to have you, Josh, on the show to sort of recollect with us and give us a little bit more of a Japan flavor for us to chat about too.
Yeah, absolutely. So it was kind of funny last night when you were like, do you want to come on and do a year in review? I was like, what year are we reviewing? 96 Battle Arts, 89 UWF? Like, what are we doing? But in all seriousness, I actually feel kind of intimidated to come on your guys' show because you guys spend so much time like kind of varying your tastes and watching so many like different products, you know, and I ever since we started Keepin It Strong Style, you know, which is my New Japan podcast, I've kind of had to be dedicated to that. So it's like I'm aware of what's going on out there, but like my actual branching out has become so severely limited because it's like a full-time job watching New Japan at this point.
Oh, for real. Yeah. I did a bit of a catch up in the lead up to Wrestle Kingdom, and I basically watched like 3 months worth of New Japan product in about 3 weeks. Fuck me.
You're a madman.
Yeah.
It was painful. I mean, there was some great highs, but yeah, I'm glad to have a bit of a break from New Japan now. But I mean, that's kind of good, right? Because I mean, you like you're saying, more in that New Japan bubble, and you know the outside stuff, but not being able to watch a lot of it. I'm sure you know, like Jeremey, like you probably, I assume, don't watch quite as much New Japan as Josh does.
Definitely not.
So it's sort of a good way for us to sort of, you know, share our different sort of what we're know a little bit more about and have a good little friendly buddy chat about it all, you know?
Well, actually, what I really want to hear about is not necessarily a recap thing, unfortunately, but we definitely get into that. I did not get an opportunity to see New Year's Dash. I actually fell asleep because I stayed up watching a lot of Wrestle Kingdom the other night. And I didn't see New Year's Dash. So I'd like to hear a recap from you gentlemen on that show and maybe what we have in store for us for 2019 for New Japan. But if we go either way, man, the reason I have a problem with doing year recaps is because I just so live in the moment. I don't really think back like, oh yeah, I remember all those amazing matches I threw out throughout the year. I like remember career evolutions or people who maybe had an amazing year or people that had a year that was going somewhere that all of a sudden just tanked. That kind of stuff I remember more. But like what are your highlights? Like what's the best company this year outside of, you know, your favorites? Like New Japan, my favorite, believe it or not, I mean, I watch WWE all the time, but big highlight for this year for me was GCW's rise. What do you guys think about that?
I was going to say, I think if I had to give my shout-outs to any favorite wrestling promotion of 2018, it's Game Changer Wrestling, all the way.
100%.
Yeah, I remember being at a show in Ybor, like probably late last year, and I saw someone walk up and they had the infamous GCW shirt. That's kind of modeled after like the NWA shirt back in the day.
I saw that for sale at the Spring Break show this past year, and I was like, man, I bought so many wrestling shirts. I really want that one, but I didn't. And
that shirt's awesome. It's got like Joey Janela on there. It's got Danzig and Nick Gage and all these guys. And I didn't know who any of these wrestlers were, but I saw the shirt and I was like, freaking A, that looks cool.
Yeah.
And they're like, you don't know what GCW is? And I was like, no. And I felt like an idiot because I was like, should I know about this? Like, what is this thing that everybody knows about, you know?
I mean,
And
it's
because
kind
of
of a
GCW, I've
Northeast
watched
fed,
more
right?
deathmatch. I've watched more deathmatch related stuff because of this company, and mostly because of Chris's
Yeah.
urgence.
I think I've
but
forced
yeah.
you to a little bit.
But it's actually still entertaining. Like, it's the overall show that they're put on. It's still good. Like, I watched the Dynasty show, and like it ended with
Nice.
a Masato Tanaka and fucking PCO match, which was not death match at all. It was just awesome and straightforward, like Smash Mouth.
Just
But then we
straight
had-
up return to like fucking Tanaka, Mike Awesome
And
in
Mike Awesome,
ECW and
yeah.
FMW.
Exactly. And
Oh.
then we have stuff like Nick Gage using a pizza cutter on Chris Dickinson's forehead. So, I mean, they offer a eclectic group of wrestling, and then you have like there was a straightforward like wrestling match with Tracy Williams and I think his name's Delphin is something Stefan Deppen.
Tony Deppen. Tony Deppen.
Deppen, that's right. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's, I mean, fucking A, what a great show.
Yeah, the variety
about to
that
say,
they
Super
bring is so
Delphin?
good.
Super Delphin.
You
showed
know,
up out of nowhere.
that's not that far out of Joey's wheelhouse to where he would bring in Super Delphin for him to work, post comeback. So I wouldn't rule that completely out. But
I think for me with GCW, I'm not following it as closely as you guys, but I'm very aware of what they're doing, and I think you'd have to be a hermit or not aware of the international or indie scene to not know about GCW in 2018. For me, the two high points I would say would be essentially the rise of Joey Janela, as well as him incorporating all these legends from years gone past and kind of reinvigorating their careers and kind of paying tribute to them at the same time.
For real.
And then I would say the probably the low point would be Joey's injury right when he is getting
How about that timing? Heartbreaking.
Yeah.
I can't think of anyone that had the momentum that Joey did. But, I mean, that's how a lot of these things go, right? Like, with his style, too, he's one of the most reckless motherfuckers I've ever seen. He kind of, initially blew up from being fucking Danzig bombed off of a shed into a trailer truck, so...
Yeah, that's definitely what I was alluding to with the rise and fall. Because, Joey definitely took place and became almost the king of the indies with everyone getting signed. Like all the top guys for a second there got picked up by the WB real quick. And so somebody had to fill that void, and Joey Janela just kind of stepped up and took helm with GCW behind him. And like you said, bringing in all these old guys, setting this ultimate storyline going through all these different fucking pay-per-views where he's fighting all these different Yakuza and shit.
Just and the build-up, they're almost
stuff.
like the bosses as you go through a fighting game.
Video game?
Yeah. And then the ultimate boss being fucking Atsushi Onita. Oh my gosh. I'm so still holding out a bit of hope that Joey shocks everyone and takes off the moon boot and actually has a fucking match with Onita at spring break, but I don't know. That needs to happen at some point.
My whole thing with Joey, I got to be honest with you, it's so love and hate because on one hand, I really don't think he's that good a wrestler, and that's the purist in me saying that. But then I'm a freaking mark for him because the package is so compelling. I don't know how anybody could not get behind him. But then sometimes some matches where it's the spectacle and all that, I can get behind it. But then other times I'll see him kind of shit the bed and I'm like, man, but I love this guy so much. So it's very, very love hate. But when the music starts and the videos and the production and the crazy crap he does, I mean, and the hustle, he's a consummate businessman. I really don't know how anybody could dislike Joey Janela. He's incredible.
Yeah.
Even still grinding while he's out hurt, social media, still doing announcing and shit.
Commentary for
GCW.
the show we were talking about. Yeah. And he's very active on the social media. Did you see his thing that he did going into this coming spring break, where he's offering a hot dog and a handshake challenge that someone actually took him up on to be in the Clusterfuck Battle Royal?
Yeah,
Oh my God.
yeah, it's fucking Georgie boy. It's fucking
Yeah.
George Hanser.
So
Yeah.
let's explain this for people that don't know it. So Joey basically, and this is paraphrasing, but he kind of like put it out there that if someone travels, whoever travels the farthest distance to bring him a hot dog, and proves it, is in the clusterfuck. So we ended up with this fucker from. Did he come from Texas?
I think that's where he was working because he's worked at Wrestle. He used to work for CZW and he worked for Wrestle Circus. So I don't know where he's actually based out of right now, but yeah, he was actually retired for a while. So I don't know what the fuck's going on.
I love it.
Pretty,
So good.
That's so awesome. It's like so random and shit.
Yeah.
Oh
but,
man.
I mean, Joey, I think both from him, like from a promotional aspect, and the reason why people are so into GCW right now and all of these like Joey Janela produced shows is due to the versatility that we're talking about. Like that versatility in Game Changer Wrestling, where you'll get like a crazy ass awesome comedy match, you'll get a great straight up like wrestling match, you'll get like a crazy death match, you'll get like all sorts of this stuff, and it all comes together, legends matches, etc. But Joey in himself, that's the reason why I love him, because he combines all of those things in his own performances. So Josh, I'm quite similar to you, where sometimes I can be a bit of a perfectionist when it comes to wanting my wrestling to feel like it's a fucking fight, and wanting guys to actually be good at the grappling arts and such. Yeah,
Have
the
it look
craft
crisp.
of wrestling. But at the same time, I love me some crazy shit too. But I think Joey fuses the three. Like I was having this conversation with someone in New Orleans about Joey, and the reason why he's so great is because he can do a fantastic comedy match. He can do a fantastic death match. And I've seen him like go with guys that are just straight up real good wrestlers, and he can hold his own in that as well. Yeah.
Did you guys know he had no formal training?
Yeah.
I think I remember hearing that he came from the backyard scene, right?
Yeah,
Right.
basically, like I read this interview last year when they were profiling the rise of spring break and how big it had gotten, and they said he literally had no wrestling school experience. He basically like when he was 15 or 16, he was lying about his age and finessing his way onto indie shows, and just basically being a finesser out here, and like got himself booked as a job guy everywhere, and like learned the craft that way. Like he never actually went to school.
I remember like seeing videos of him that he'll share himself. Like he is a sweet, like depreciating fucker kind of guy that I like. To where he like shared these videos from like CZW from like when he's like fucking 14 and he's in the crowd like giving the finger to the workers and stuff.
Yeah, that was so funny. Yeah, he was. It's funny because he actually even pops to people in the audience because he's fucking getting over for flipping the motherfuckers off. It was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's just tremendous, and fucking just DIY to the like you said, never been trained. This guy, how over is he? Just based off of charisma alone, really, it's pretty tremendous.
Yeah.
And you know what? You can teach someone to be a worker, and not to diminish that, but obviously, I mean, anybody can go to wrestling school, but to teach someone how to have, like a presence and how to be a marketing genius, like that's something a lot of guys just don't get, and Joey gets it.
Yeah,
like, he really gets it.
And like the passion, I think you can see the passion in Joey, like more so than so many other guys, because he's a guy that I know was like, a crazy ass like ECW fan, a crazy ass FMW fan, like just the same dude like all of us, like when we're growing up and we're like doing the fucking tape trading and all that kind of stuff. Like you can
me and
yeah.
Oh no, go ahead. I'm sorry, man.
Were you going to say that you're not part of our old Carney generation and you were only trading downloads?
Oh, you know what? No, in all honesty, I never got into the tape trading, but it wasn't because I'm not old enough. It's just because I wasn't like a smart yet. Like no one had wised me up to like that side of, the fandom. But I actually, because you're talking about like how Joey's like us, like me and Joey had like a drunken moment where we like embraced for a while in a bar WrestleMania weekend.
Well, I also
Fantastic.
have a drunken story with Joey. Me and Joey and Rhett Titus getting drunk at an MLW after party. We're just doing shots of fucking vodka all night. Yeah. So yeah, he's a down to earth motherfucker.
Amazing.
Well, me and Joey, we basically like were at this after party after WrestleMania, where they're doing Kaiju Big Battle in New Orleans, and it was weird. Like we're just hanging out with all these wrestlers, just drinking, having a good time. And then Joey walks up and he's like, "What are you guys talking about?" And I was like, "Joey." He's like, "What's up, man?" And I was like, "Bro, because of you, I got to see the great Sasuke in real life. Thank you for what you're doing for the wrestling business. Thank you for what you've given to me." And he was
Very
like,
nice.
he's like, "Bring it in, bro. Bring it in." And like, he got teary-eyed for real. But
he's
like,
so
he was
good.
really drunk. But like, he hugged me hard, bro. Like it was a real hug.
Man,
It's just like took your breath away kind of thing.
And like, my buddies didn't know what was going on. They came around the corner and they're like, "Bro, why are you and Joey Janela like
don't
hugging
even worry
so?"
about it, man.
Just like this
Had a
30-second moment.
Yeah, we
love it.
did. It was pretty crazy.
That's beautiful. That's fucking beautiful. That's everything that I imagined Joey to be. Yeah, the moment I realized Joey was like just the real motherfucker that he is was the moment that Jeremy and I shared with him in New Orleans on Bourbon Street.
Oh hell yeah!
Where
Fucking Nick Gage right there too.
yeah, Nick Gage was there. I had a lovely chat with Nick Gage too, and then because we were, the pile drivers were banned on by the Louisiana State Athletic Commission, Joey granted us an in-person pile driver on Bourbon Street. It was fabulous. We've told the story many times before, and I'll continue to tell it many times again.
God
Like
bless you, Joey.
I know the story because I've heard it on the show so many times, but I just love the retelling. I'm never gonna interrupt it. I'm just gonna let it go.
Beautiful.
Oh.
One last thing. One
yes.
thing about GCW I wanted to throw out too is like we mentioned like the death match, the comedy stuff, and all that, but like for me, like one of my highlights of the year, and I'm hoping possibly for it to be a highlight next year, is Bloodsport, is the shoot style stuff.
Fuck yeah.
That was a great show.
I think that's what we originally bonded over, right, Josh? Like, just how great that was and how much of it gave us that throwback feel to your rings, your UWF, your Pancrase, like Pro Wrestling Fujiwara Gumi. Like, that's
Kingdom.
our fucking wheelhouse. Yeah. All about that
Battle
shit. Yuki Ishikawa for life, motherfuckers.
How about Tamura got dropped off the Observer Hall of Fame ballot this year? He's not going in the Hall of Fame. Are they?
Man, that is some
kidding
bullshit.
me?
I was arguing with one of the guys over here that's on the Hall of Fame ballot over both Tamura and who else was it? Another like just shoot style like guy that was falling off the ballot. That's like just should easily be in a shoo-in,
Yeah.
And then the other one being Johnny Saint, who I also believe strongly should be in the Hall of Fame, and was shocked that he wasn't. In terms of just completely perfecting a style of wrestling, but yeah, Tamura.
It's just the styles die.
Oh, the other one,
people don't
Fujiwara, fucking Yoshiaki Fujiwara. How is he not in every Hall of Fame? I cannot.
Is he
believe
not?
that. No, he's not in. That's insane.
I did not know that.
And he's like the best. Oh, anyway, this is getting a bit of a side
But so many
note.
guys that are in there, so many guys that have gone in there or going in there are either trained by him or have like directly ripped him off and emulated him. So yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah, insane. But yeah, Tamura, if anyone like just perfected shoot style wrestling in the 90s, it was Tamura. Like it doesn't get better than that. I mean, like those like Tamura and Volkan, like the
I was gonna say those are the
Takada.
two guys.
So perfect. And I mean him and Maeda as well. It's like, I mean Maeda, Takada, they kind of get all the credit, right? And then your dudes like
that stuff is so pimped and it's so readily accessible, and became in vogue in like the early 2000s, but like the reality is Tamura's the best that ever did it. Period.
Yeah. I mean, he wasn't the biggest draw. That was the thing that's the reason why maybe he's not in. But to me, you know, the Wrestling Observer Hall of Fame balloting, if you are so fucking game-changingly great in any one of the criteria, be it, you know, drawing, be it in-ring, or just contributions to the industry, if you are so great in any one of those criteria, you should be in. And to me, he is the you know, like we're saying, just the ultimate perfection of the in-ring style of shoot style wrestling, to where he should be in. I don't know.
But speaking of OGs though, we did get to see in person Minoru Suzuki have a shoot fight with Matt Riddle.
And he did so many little throwbacks to the presentation of Minoru Suzuki from Pancrase. It's like, it was a different feeling, and like he gave us a different side of Minoru Suzuki, which I loved. And with how everything shook out, you know, Matt Riddle's now in the New York territory. It's like
he's working for Junior.
Yeah, working for Junior up there.
Oh, you pop me with that shit every time. Oh man.
But yeah, that was a special fucking thing that we got to be part of. It wasn't a long match, but for what it was, the level of intensity in some of those like grappling exchanges and some of that submission work is something that I'll carry with me till my dying days. It was fantastic stuff. You know, there are a lot of guys that surprised me on that show. You know, fucking Eddie Kingston. I did not expect that he would have that that level of you know, actual wrestling talent.
I mean, the Walter and Filthy Tom fight was excellent.
Yeah, that was great. I thought Dickinson, that was a mixed thing. Some people thought Dickinson and Dan Severn
Dirty
wasn't
Daddy.
great. I actually really liked that for what it was. Like, it wasn't a you know 4-star encounter, but I thought there was some moments in that were fantastic.
I was sad. No, that one made me sad to watch an old Dan Severn get beat up. That made me sad.
Have you seen the Dan Severn match from the prior spring break?
No, I didn't watch it.
Oh, Dan Severn and Matt Riddle. Fuck. Match of Dan Severn's career. And maybe the best match of Matt Riddle's career. I don't know. That'd be an interesting thing. Yeah. There was like just a level of grappling beauty in it that sort of got a different side out of Matt Riddle. Because a lot of the more, you know, high-profile Matt Riddle matches, like the Ospreay one and stuff like that, more like of a super indie variation of Matt Riddle, like sort of just working that kind of high spots indie style. Whereas this was more of like a throwback to what brought Matt Riddle to the dance kind of thing. So I really loved it from that perspective.
I think Josh show. Hopefully there'll be more people, because I think a lot of people weren't sure what they expect with a show like that. So hopefully a lot of people who are more into grappling nowadays will figure out this is a good time to watch something like that. Because the presentation was interesting. I think even people who were in attendance didn't know how to take. Like, some of the finishes kind of felt weird because they just kind of stopped. But
right.
Yeah.
Well, you know, like, it's my favorite movie of all time is literally Bloodsport. So, so when they in fact, like, I actually got a Bloodsport t-shirt for Christmas this year, and it came packaged in a box that looks like a double VHS tape. So, like,
sick.
Yeah, I love Bloodsport. And, like, when I heard that there's going to be a show that was literally, like, you know, based around that, I was just like, I've got to be there. I actually didn't know what to expect at all. I did not think it was going to be, like, shoot style. I really wasn't sure what it was. I was just like, whatever it is, I see the names, I see the gimmick, I gotta be there.
Yeah,
and it ended up being
the
like
lure of Low Key versus Minoru Suzuki. I think that's what got those people into the building. And then it's almost
I think it was Low Key and Riddle.
Oh yeah.
Riddle,
Sorry, you're right. You're right, 100%. But then what we got was even better.
Better.
And then like the way they presented it with like the no ropes, I don't think anyone was expecting that, but that was an excellent throwback to actual Bloodsport the movie. I heard some people sort of burying it, saying, "Oh, you know, UWFI never had no rope matches. The rope breaks are an important part, but it was like more a nod to the actual movie of Bloodsport, which I thought was great. Oh man, before we get off of this, were you just like getting fucking hard when they were playing that Kumite like Bloodsport theme music in the start of the show?
Kumite. Yeah, absolutely. Like it's that is like my fight song for life.
Yep, agreed. So
I
good.
think that's B-Boy uses as entrance music.
For you guys though, I mean, obviously you guys like GCW a lot, but from what I gather, I mean, you guys are watching a lot of stuff out there. It seems like you're watching like PWG, AAW, stuff over in Australia, like MCW. Like, what are some other like big highlights for you guys? Because you guys are watching a lot of shit, basically.
Yeah,
Dude,
I mean, we don't watch everything. Like, the big thing is, in the world of wrestling that you have today, you can't watch everything. So you can't keep up full-time with an AAW, keep up full-time with a GCW, keep up full-time with PWG, keep up full-time in New Japan.
Pro.
Like, yeah, you're going to die. You're just going to fall over dead. Or you're going to be like me for, like, the last, like, 10 years of my life where I'm like trying to keep up with so many products. It's like, all right, so with Noah, I'm up to 2016 right now. With All Japan, I'm up to 2015. With New Japan, I'm up to relatively current, maybe 6 months. You know, it's like, yeah, that's not a good way to enjoy wrestling.
Have you gotten to the Suzuki Segura fight yet?
Oh, yeah. Fuck, that was great.
Oh, so good.
But, I mean, there's so much great wrestling out there. You do have to pick and choose. I mean, there's some stuff like I actually am still chugging all the way through Noah, All Japan, and Big Japan like a maniac. There's no way I'm ever going to get caught up, but I don't want to miss any of it because it's all so good. But at the same time, when it comes to your indie wrestling, a lot of it is about what's happening now. And that's the coolest thing about something like Game Changer Wrestling. Because I don't know, if you watch this in a time capsule 5 years later, I don't know if it's going to have the same magic because it's not current anymore. There's something awesome about indie wrestling when you're watching it with current eyes and with a feel for what's going on in that moment. I think PWG definitely works best like that, and PWG you can keep up with a lot easier because they don't do as many shows as a lot of these other companies. Game Changer Wrestling the same. They're big shows. I think all of them are on like the Fight.tv at the moment, and they'll probably only have 5 or 6 really big must-see shows a year. There's some other like smaller stuff that you don't necessarily have to keep up with everything. But it's not insane to keep up with either of those companies. Moving on to like AAW, I'll kind of keep up with them mainly on a like real big show basis, or if there's something that looks like it'll be real good. Like I watched that first show they had in Austin, which I would recommend. I watched some of their bigger shows at the Logan Square Auditorium, which I would also recommend.
I actually got to attend one of those or 2 of those shows.
Oh, nice. Was that the one with the sweet, insane lucha tag dream match?
Yeah. I got to see that lucha tag match. That was all in weekend. That was that was just incredible, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to those shows were really good. I mean, the AEW crowd is an awesome crowd, and there's a lot of fun stuff. Like AC Romero coming out to I Just Want to Use Your Love Tonight is like a highlight for me in 2018.
One of the greatest themes for 2018, closely followed by Tony Deppin's theme music, which I also want to give credit to in GCW.
Also, seeing Sami Callihan almost create a literal riot in real life where we thought he might get killed was pretty epic. Which I don't know if they're still running Logan Square. They were talking about kicking them out at the time during that show back in September, so I don't know what's happening with that.
To me, he was the heel of the year in the U.S. Like everyone puts over Ciampa real big, but I don't think anybody was really hated as much as Sami Callihan. Like people, all the internet smarks like, this guy's a fucking dick. He needs to apologize to Eddie Edwards. It's like, the guys working a fucking angle, you fucking idiots.
Yeah.
The one thing that everyone wants. Everyone wants people to be realistic in wrestling, and when somebody does, guy's an actual prick or comes off as one.
Exactly.
Like, hey.
Yeah, Greg Valentine needed to apologize to Wahoo publicly.
Yeah, just so everyone knows.
Roddy Piper need to apologize to fucking everybody. Like, where would wrestling be? I don't get it. But yeah,
in my year, I've been really lucky because I've had up here in Washington, we've had like consistently awesome shows with DEFY. The other local company, 321, has really come into its own. Like they get really hot talent and always really put on great shows. So, and then kind of curate and pick and choose which shows I want to watch. Or Chris will pick something out that we want to discuss on the show, and I'll end up watching the whole show. He suggests, even though we pick a couple matches to watch, but I'll watch the entire show. And like the show I watched today for GCW, one of the most entertaining matches I've ever seen in my life. Kikutaro and Orange Cassidy. I mean, holy shit, dude. You got to watch this, Josh. It's one of the funnest matches. Kikutaro's working heel, and it's ridiculous. It's just so fun. But yeah, it's just been a hugely eclectic year for wrestling. Like, everyone pressing boundaries, really interesting things going on, whether you like that shit or not. Like, I personally, I don't give a fuck. As long as people are entertained, I don't care what you're doing.
It's like there's something for everybody.
I'm a purist at times. Exactly. It's ice cream flavors, like Quackenbush always says.
Yeah. Well, what's funny is like I go to a lot of indie shows here. Like I would say, we're starting to get Evolve shows again, which we haven't had in a while. But like we have FIP, and we have like the Largo Loop with NXT, stuff like that. We have a couple other local companies, but I would say in the Tampa area,
getting a bit of MLW these days.
I can't get out to those shows. They're on Thursdays in Orlando, which is about 2 hours away because my job. But you're right, MLW. Bro, the stuff Low Key's doing in MLW is excellent.
Yeah, so much stuff in MLW is excellent. Like just the whole production, like the presenting a show that's like both a throwback, like to those early '90s WCW, like even like throwback to the later '80s Crockett.
For
like
some
in
reason,
terms of the
it gives me ECW feels.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. At the same time, you get like ECW vibes, and the work rate and the guys that they use are so current to the current day as well. So it's all of these things, and obviously the voice of Tony Schiavone, everything. It's all great.
Yes,
I can't say
and some
enough good
amazing
things about
merchandise they have.
Oh yeah,
some beautiful T-shirt designs. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Oh yeah, you've done some of that, right?
Yeah, I've done a bunch of shirts for them. They keep hitting me up. I'm working on something else here right now. I fucking forget. Oh, shit. That escapes me. But yeah, Court hits me up all the time. We just did that thing for the House Foundation.
I was gonna say I wanted to give props to that sweet, like real retro classic style Heart Foundation tee that you did. Great design,
dude. The one I thought was funny is Court wanted one that was just like the ECFNW, but MLFNW.
Yeah.
Like, all right, cool. I dig it. I can do that pretty easy.
But it's interesting because like here in Florida, you go to these local shows and it's we get kaiju too, but we go to local shows and it's like your local guys. Like and what I'm talking about is the crowd. It's like you go to these shows and it's the guys people that are wrestling fans, but then you go to these bigger shows like WrestleMania weekend or like when we were at AEW during All In weekend, and it's this like festival vibe. Like people are dressed up like they're going to a freaking like hardcore band concert or something, and they got tons of pins and like these like jean jackets, and it's like a different energy. And it's like, dude, I want to be a part of that,
Yeah, that was one of the coolest parts about being there for Mania weekend in New Orleans. Like just going to all of those different eclectic shows, and yeah, it's like a big time music festival. And it's just like, oh, what stage are you going to now? Like each different show is just a different stage. It's just a celebration of wrestling, and it's awesome. Like I don't even think like this coming year I'm gonna actually go to Mania. I'm just there to go to like all of the other things and just celebrate my love for wrestling with other folks and meet awesome people and have good chats.
Wait, are you going to WrestleMania weekend?
Yeah, man, for real.
I
Yep.
did not know you were going. I'm gonna be there. That's awesome. We gotta meet up for
Awesome.
sure.
Hell yeah,
sure.
dude.
For real.
So Chris, my plan, I was thinking about not actually going to Mania either. Maybe just like kicking it into Airbnb or something, fucking just watching it.
yeah,
That
yeah.
might be a good plan. Yeah.
Just
Yo, you guys
smoke
can
it up.
you guys can stay with the Social Suplex crew if you want to, because we're looking for people to like do that with basically.
I think John Kraft already hooked up an Airbnb.
Yeah, accommodation wise,
He
I think
jumped on
we're
it
all sorted.
immediately.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're also.
yeah. He's a planner. We love John. Shout outs to John Kraft back home.
Yes, sir.
Fine, then just edit this off of the podcast, and I won't feel
Yeah,
so
cut it
bad.
out.
I'm not
Delete
editing
the
anything.
invite. Delete the invite. But no, honestly, dude, 2018, I think it's in a weird way kind of like a transitional year for wrestling in general. Like we have the big move with all the guys from all elite wrestling. They could have gone wherever they wanted, and they've decided bank on themselves and start this new project. And
that all
That's gonna be
happened in 2018, right? It was all of that
Yeah.
success of
Absolutely.
All In, which was crazy at the time. When those tickets were about to go on sale, I remember being so hopeful, but also being scared, because this is setting the benchmark for where this is going to be. If they're going to sell 4,000 tickets, that'd be pretty lofty. I don't think an independent group sold 4,000 tickets for a long time. They're going to maybe get it to 5,000, who knows? And then they just fucking hit it out of the ballpark and sell that motherfucker out in record time. And that created it all.
When my show first started, it started roughly about a year ago. And on our first episode, we started talking about the U.S. expansion of New Japan because me and Jeremy Donovan, we were like, where do we start with the New Japan podcast? I don't know. So let's talk about, what's coming up. And obviously with All In kind of being this big target, that was something we talked about extensively. And all year covering New Japan, we're talking about, these elite guys. And eventually we actually, we got tickets, we got to go to it, but to watch it be like, is this really happening? To, okay, it's really happening, but where is it? We don't know anything. Then suddenly it's like, oh, it's happening. Here it is, Chicago. And then the
Boom.
tickets sold out in 30 minutes. And it was like, what?
Yeah. I think everyone had to step back and be like, whoa, what do we got on our hands here? And then, fast forward to the actual show. And the whole thing was just like a celebration of alternative wrestling. It's like a celebration of what wrestling can be when it's presented on a big stage, not from one New York territory,
It's the best wrestling show I've ever been to live by far. I think the two criticisms. One, if they had, and it's not that they made a mistake, but if they had known how high the demand was going to be, they probably could have actually run a bigger arena.
Yeah, they really should have run the other big time arena in Chicago, right?
They probably should have, because they probably would have sold that out. Like,
yeah,
that's
but you
how
never know.
hot this thing
Like
was.
we were saying, how lofty it was, what they were going for, and then for them to do that.
Hindsight's 2020.
Exactly, it's hard.
But the other thing that I would criticize is the audio for the show, because I've watched it back, on like New Japan World and on my Honor Club subscription, and it does not do justice to how loud and how boisterous that crowd was. It does not come across on the taping at all. That crowd was lit from the first, from before the show even started to after the show was over for like 30 minutes still.
Yeah.
It was just like, it felt like WrestleMania to me. I was like, wow, this is indie WrestleMania, because I've never been to a show where the energy in the crowd was like this. It was like a spiritual experience. Like, I've been to concerts that didn't feel this energetic.
Yeah. I mean, John told us the same thing. He was there in person. I mean, even just because I watched it live on pay-per-view, and you could feel that there was just a palpable emotion in the building, and that everyone was just so up for everything. So you could definitely feel that, and that translated. But the whole time I was watching it, I was like, I know that they're even louder than this. So I think that was what created kind of a bit of the excitement. But I thought all in all that the show was great, and it was fun, and fun in a way that so much of big time wrestling isn't. That was just so refreshing. And I think that is why everyone's so on board and so excited with the announcement that we had just this past week of All In Wrestling actually being a thing. And it was funny because we got the sort of rumors and stuff come out when they were, doing the copyright stuff for these brand names. So we knew basically that, All In was going to be a thing, Double or Nothing was going to be a thing, potential TV show of Tuesday Night Dynamite. But then to actually get it sort of put in concrete, like actually, yeah, this is legit now. Everyone's so excited, and it's great. I mean, when it comes to the New Japan side of things and the ROH side of things, it'll be interesting to see how things move forward on that avenue. But even if they completely leave based off of what it looked like on New Year's Dash, I think the biggest news off of New Year's Dash, you were asking earlier, Jeremy, like the biggest thing was basically who wasn't on the show, more so than what actually happened on the show. And obviously the Bucks, Cody, Kenny, Jericho, and Marty was the big surprise to me.
And
were
Hangman.
not. And Hangman. We're not on the show at all. So interesting to see what happens going forward. I heard of a bit of rumors of a meeting between representatives of New Japan, ROH, and All In the day of that show. So I don't know, but at the same time, like if the Elite are gone from New Japan and ROH, I think it's not a bad thing for either company, and I think it's exciting for both companies, the fresh coat of paint that they're getting out of their absence.
Dude, and also those spots that need to get filled, that's just there's going to be a lot of Gaijin wrestlers who are, looking to make their jump to possibly go over to Japan. They're going to get that opportunity. There's lots of guys you see over here in LA, at the dojo. Plenty of guys going to maybe get a chance to get a fucking tour. Then guys have to come up here on the US scene and fill those spots as well. So it's always like a resurgence. It's actually kind of beautiful. A lot of people complain when guys get signed for the WWE or they, go to New Japan. But it's really tremendous for the opportunities for all these other guys who I'm not saying being held down, but there's no top spot if that guy's still working there.
Yeah, 100%. I'll agree with you every moment. Like when a group of guys are leaving, it's just that next opportunity for either the guys that are already there, biggest one being Jay White. I think his time has fucking come, and I'm very excited for it. All about this. Like whenever someone goes, it's that next spot. The one territory of 2018 that I will say is a bit different to that, and I'm not so enthusiastic about how they're going to replace that talent, is what's happening in the UK. But I don't know, you guys' thoughts on that? We might cover what we're talking about right now and maybe jump onto that in a brief moment.
So yeah, I would say I'm definitely. I mean, I have nerves about what AEW will or won't be. I mean, there's so many people that are like more savvy to this business side of things than I am, and they kind of have a vision for what this may or may not be, and they're talking about like the backward, like the dealings and the TV deals that might be coming up and all the contract negotiations. And I'm just like, I'm over here sitting like, I just hope it succeeds. I hope that an alternative rises up, and I hope that this is a good thing for the wrestling business and for these guys taking this gamble. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for real. It's the one bit of it that's weird to me, and where I was sort of thinking we'd probably have a working relationship between ROH and New Japan. Both because that was what was a big part of the success of the big All In show. But that I mean, can you guys see All Elite running a full-time schedule, full-time house show schedule, all that? I don't see that being the path for success, but I don't know.
I didn't necessarily. I mean, I'm not a businessman. I don't know this industry like I'm not a promoter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when I was first talking to friends of mine about what this hypothetically could be, I was like, well, what? And I didn't know if TV was on the horizon or not, but I was like, what if they were doing all in type shows, like maybe 12 times a year, sort of like, let's say if it was a super PWG, basically they took the PWG concept, but they're doing it in arenas around the country in big metropolitan areas where they have large fan bases.
Yep.
And then they and then they ran pay-per-views off that, or iPay-per-view or stream or whatever it is. I was like, that could be something that hypothetically could work. And if they were doing something like that, and instead of it being a weekly TV show, but it's a big indie super show 12 times a year, then ROH or Impact or, CMLL or whoever it is that's working with them isn't going to feel like they're in direct competition because it's a different business model.
You're not running that same town on the same weekend as a big ROH show, for example.
Right.
And if you look at their Twitter account, actually, the logic is there because the majority of the accounts they're following are the wrestlers, of course, within the company already, but also big arenas throughout the country. Like one of them is Key Arena up here in Seattle is one of them, and I think one over in Philadelphia. So there's like 8 different arenas they're following right now. So that might be the way they're going as far as it appears.
Well, here's another thing, too, to think about it. Because I do think ultimately they need a TV deal. And the reason I say that, and it's just because more people are more educated about this than me, have said these guys aren't getting into this so that they can make a few bucks promoting. Yeah. They're doing it so that they can basically become a mega power and take that gamble and create a viable long-term content creating, business. So,
and that was one of the big lessons of 2018, right? Like this is becoming more so than an old school house show attendance business. This is becoming a business where you get that big, chunky TV contract that's worth millions of dollars, and that's where you get your money from for that content creation that's going to be on TV.
But also think about this, WWE is a weekly episodic TV show. We know that. But then who's their main competition when it comes to television rights and all that? It's the UFC. UFC is not a company that is running weekly episodic fights. They do a couple times a month, and it works for them.
And stuff.
What if a wrestling company took the similar model to, like, say, a UFC, and instead of running like weekly television or whatever, they're running big UFC or big pay-per-view style shows all year long, and then that way they're not basically competing with these other companies that they want to borrow from or whatever. I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen. I'm not even saying I'm predicting that, but I'm saying I don't see why that couldn't work necessarily.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're past the point of where it's even relevant to do a weekly wrestling TV show where you have like big matches that otherwise should be on pay-per-view, and you have your big talking segment at the start. Like this is all shit that's just flow over from the fucking Attitude Era, that like they just do because that's what they've done. I think we're at a stage where people don't want to consume that much wrestling because there's so much wrestling out there. I think you're better off with like a weekly product that's more on the same feel as something like Being the Elite. I think that's like been a huge learning thing in 2018 as well, to where it's like people just want a show that's not too long, that they can easily digest, that's like some fun thing to promote storylines. You got your bit of comedy, you got some different show angles that go on, but you don't actually present in-ring wrestling within the context of that. And then maybe you just keep the NWA the big shows. Yeah, exactly. Billy's been doing a fucking great job with that.
Yeah, WWE at this point is the show's boring because they're a slave to the advertisers. Like they're doing a 3-hour show because they're pretty much contracted to keep doing it. They would love to go back down to 2 hours. They can't offer enough content within the time frame. They're doing shit with interviews with plants in the audience. They got stupid Lucha House Party.
Isn't it amazing how much shit they would give to WCW back in the day for doing their 3-hour show? And I can almost guarantee that you watch one of those WCW 3-hour shows, like now on the network, it's going to be a more fun watch than if you watch Raw on Monday.
100%.
Maybe for like the cringe factor. I don't know.
I love me some WCW. There's good wrestling in there too.
Heck yeah.
Oh no, I love WCW, but what the 3-hour format was like mainly the 2000 era, right?
I think it was 99. 99 was when they really did it. By the time they got to 2000, they cut it back to 2 hours, I think.
That's right. Yeah, 99 is still rough too. I'm not gonna lie. Like
that was when it all fell down.
Yeah, but Yeah, this like it's just funny like how we can jump around from topic to topic because there's so many things that happened this year that like when I came on here with you guys I didn't even think about any of this and then you were like, oh yeah, the UK scene. I'm like, oh yeah, the whole UK scene like
Right?
imploded this year.
I didn't write much down, but that was one of the things I had written down. And I didn't want to talk about it when it actually happened because I think the show that Jeremy and I did probably like, we do it every 2 week type of thing. And by the time it was going to come out, so many motherfuckers had talked about it to death that the last thing I wanted to talk about was what was going on in the UK. But looking back
Well,
now,
I gotta tell you that like I wanted to hear your guys' take on it more than most people's, to be honest, and I was waiting for it and it never came.
Well, now's your time, friend.
Let's do it, Chris.
I mean, we were looking quite closely at the UK scene, like sort of before this went down. I remember we did like an episode where I watched like fucking almost 6 months worth of Rev Pro, and they've got some great stuff going on.
Great company.
Oh, I love it. Like in terms of just super dream match, super indie type of thing, it's almost like I love it for the same reason why I used to love like ROH back in the early 2000s, because they would just build up and give you those big super fucking matches that no one else would. And being able to see, like top ROH guys presented against top level UK guys, or like top level UK guys against New Japan talent, or like New Japan top talent against PWG guys. Yeah, for sure. OTT did great stuff in 2018 as well. And they had that fucking awesome Osprey Walter match, in addition to a bunch of other great stuff. But yeah, there's a lot of great stuff going on over there. And then there is the stuff where it's like you can see the signs of that UK scene, like the bubble bursting. I think Progress is maybe an example of that. I mean, to me, Progress was... I used to love me some Progress, and they still put on some great content, but it's hard for me to want to watch their stuff now, knowing that, like, that WWE agreement, you know what I mean? Like, it almost, like, it's like they're presenting themselves as, like, indie wrestling, and they're fucking, tagline of, like, punk rock pro wrestling. It's like,
right?
How are you fucking punk rock pro wrestling when you're in bed with fucking Junior over here,
Well, I was at the WWN show in Evolve where they basically started bringing in the WWE guys.
Yeah.
And I was there, and it was such a weird vibe because it felt like even some of the wrestlers didn't really know what was going on, and a lot of them did, but they had to like be hush hush. And then it was like it became very apparent real quick that it's like, oh, Evolve is never gonna be what it was after this day. Like this is literally the start of them being the feeder league to NXT, which and it's a smart business move. It makes sense for Gabe, and I get why they're doing it, but for people that certain subsect of fan that were like that loved what Evolve was in the US, which was kind of like the contemporary to what you were mentioning with Rev Pro. They kind of filled that void, in the Midwest.
I loved Evolve back when they were all about like the actual, like almost like an underground grappling presentation.
The records
with your Timothy Thatcher. Roderick Strong was doing awesome shit. Chris Hero was just fucking killing it.
Right.
Oni Lorcan, Biff Busick back in the day was doing amazing stuff there. Same with Tracy Williams, with the whole catch point thing. And
they got depleted so many times, and they had to restructure so many times that eventually it became to a point where it's like they can't keep doing this. And so I get why Gabe did what he did. And you know what? It might be better for their business because they're still putting on some awesome shows now with it kind of being a crossover between NXT, but it's not what it was.
How's the attendance down there looking with the new, using these WWE NXT feeder teams and putting them over as the face of the company?
Well, where they run here is the Orpheum, and the Orpheum's basically a nightclub that's, and
it's not too big.
Always... No, it's not big, and it's never a big crowd. You're talking 100 150 people max most
Even
of the
now
time. So
using NXT talent.
yeah, but there's only been 1 or 2 shows so far. The other one was been an FIP show, so it's not that big difference. It's
Yeah.
I think where they draw the bigger crowds like New York and Philly, places like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was hard for me. Like, that was sort of a bitter pill to swallow because I was, like, saying, like, such a big fan of ROH back in the day when Gabe was the man. Even going into, like, Dragon Gate USA, I was, like, really on board with that for the first, like, 3 or 4 years. And then, like, these glory days of Evolve, I was a big fan. And then it's just, like, I'm almost now looking at it, I'm like, this isn't the product that I want out of independent wrestling. I don't know.
Following Heyman's footsteps, man. You gotta start your own company and then get in bed with the WWE. That's he learned it from Paul.
You have to keep that relationship secret, motherfucker. That is Paul's secret.
There will always be talent on the US indie scene. That's undeniable. But the reality is the scene that was here 3 or 4 years ago, they're all in 205. They're all in NXT. They're all on the main roster.
Mm-hmm.
It literally is all the indie guys that we had. They went to WWE, all of them. And that's what's happening in the UK too. Like, and people are kind of acting like they're being blind to it. And it's just WWE running the old playbook from the 80s, what they did with the promoters back then. Hey, we want to partner with you. We want to showcase your talent. We want to help build you up. And then they killed them all.
Yeah, lure them in on the hopes of, hey, look, we can all be successful together. And then, oh yeah, we're taking your TV deal and taking all your top talent. And good luck to you. Good luck to you.
I remember I was at All In, and I was with a group of wrestling fans that were maybe not as old as me, and then also maybe not as like they just didn't know the history of the business that maybe the way some of us who lived through it kind of understand it. And so, they always say, to like the victor rewrites history, basically. Mm-hmm. And so they were talking to me about like the territory days, and they were saying that Vince saved the territories because all these promoters were going to go out of business, and he came in, he basically paid them off and saved their talent and saved their product.
That Vince Jr., he took the wrestling out of those smoky arenas. Those smoky arenas where people were just smoking in there, and he turned it into a booming product.
And smoking.
Yeah, literally, Chris, the kind of vernacular you're using, like the terminology, which comes literally from, WWF produced DVDs.
Yeah.
That's the kind of stuff these kids were saying. And I'm like, guys, no, they killed wrestling. They killed wrestling. You've never seen Portland. You don't know anything about Portland. Like,
you don't know Don Owens, motherfucker.
like you've never seen Mid-South.
Never seen
you don't
Memphis.
Understand.
The magic of Memphis wrestling. Fucking Houston.
Like, wrestling was different from what WWF was. Like, wrestling was this glorious thing where there was like 50 states and they all had their own style, their own stars, and Vince did kill it for better or for worse. And like,
I mean, look at just the amount of guys that could feed their families from wrestling in like 1982 versus the amount of guys that can feed their families off of a wrestling contract in even, with all of these crazy stuff going on, even in 2018. Like, it's not comparable at all.
One thing that makes me nervous is you think about with the territories, and I don't know if it's a perfect analogy. I don't want to be too much of a downer, but it's like 85, 86. Business is up everywhere. Everybody's doing excellent. 88, it's dead.
Yeah. I mean, there's a few outliers, like, Portland struggled on a little bit longer. Memphis struggled on a little bit longer. But, yeah, for the most part, it's presenting a big flashy product on network TV and plucking all of those stars that were there and taking them away. That's it. And that's exactly what they're looking to do in the UK. There's a lot of UK WWE apologists out there that I heard a lot from. Pete Dunne had quite a few messages saying, this guy isn't falling, you guys are just dramatizing this, it's still going to be great, next guys are going to stand up, it's going to be awesome, blah, blah, blah. But I don't know. I think that's maybe too much rose-colored glasses, and people need to learn from history when it comes to this stuff.
Yeah, they used to have taller tent posts, and now they keep on lopping them down, have to put them back up with these not nearly as bright stars. And Evolve was awesome, and now all their top, or for a while, they're all the champions were NXT guys. It just seems like puts a weird taste in my mouth, even. Like, and I love the WWE. I was for them helping out Evolve and Progress, help prop them up. But clearly, those products are suffering at this point.
Yeah, like early on when WWE was given the shout outs to Evolve on like their website, and when they were doing those really well attended shows at like Laboom and stuff like that, like it seemed like it was a good thing. But then, like we're saying, as soon as they take all of that talent away, it's no longer an exciting product that I want to watch anymore. But yeah, like Jeremy, kind of a lot of this has been kind of Josh and I just, rah. But I mean, do you kind of agree, or are you a bit more like maybe could be a good thing in the UK, or where are you at on this?
I definitely do see. I don't see it as a death knell per se. It's not positive by any means. They are suffering. Like the top talk of wrestling, even in 2017, going into 2018, was the UK scene. Like that's all anyone could talk about. Yeah. And now they're just kind of being a feeder system for WWE, NXT UK. Guys are like not being able to work shows because they have these stupid contracts that don't allow them to do so because there's other TV product. And I don't know.
Not even be able to work certain guys like from other competition groups. Like you have certain guys that aren't allowed to work that. Problem. Yeah.
Like one thing I will say, I think when the news first came out, everybody went into panic mode, and the reality is, once it became more apparent what these contracts were, they were a lot less restrictive than people thought that they were going to be. And also, when they first signed the UK guys, the first time, like when they first started, the UK tournament, a similar thing like this happened, but on a smaller scale, and everyone panicked, and it turned out to kind of blow over.
Yeah, and like the guys were still able to work everywhere, and it wasn't even a thing. But yeah, this second,
and I think some of this still might blow over to some degree. But at the end of the day, one thing that is bothersome is a lot of these guys will work in companies where they're not going to be able to wrestle anyone who's not from WWE without like approval. So, like for instance, like Neville or Pac or whatever, he's not going to wrestle any of these guys, or, a Zack Sabre Jr., he's not going to wrestle any of these guys, or that sort of thing. So it's just really weird. I don't know how they kind of like, if you're a promoter and you're trying to get your product over and you want to pop, your numbers by bringing a Tyler Bate or a Pete Dunne on, but you can't actually build a real storyline scenario around it.
Because you can't put them on your streaming service.
Right. So how does this work? How does it benefit you?
And how about this one? Trent Seven's promotion, Fight Club Pro. He's not able to work their biggest show in history that they're running in fucking Korakuen Hall.
Yeah, you hear that they just signed a agreement to partner officially with DDT.
Yeah, I saw that. That was interesting. I mean, with them having Daisuke Sekimoto was like a big part of their shows, also with Meiko Satomura. They've always been pretty proactive with working with different groups. So, I mean, I hope that being with DDT doesn't prevent them from still being able to get that other great talent from around the Japanese scene, but it'd be interesting to see how it goes.
But they kind of a lot of guys were like, listen, the UK scene is fine, there's so much talent that's out there and blah blah blah, and that's all well and good, but it's like if you hoard all the talent and you take it to one place, historically it's always made it that much harder for guys coming up behind them. It's a disruption to the natural order of how a company should run.
Yeah, if you're cherry picking and choosing guys, you take this guy and then a couple, 6 months later you take that guy. It's okay because you can repopulate. If you just come in and take fucking everybody that's worth money,
a whole swath of dudes,
then you're in trouble.
We're gonna take your main event and your main event, and we'll take your main event too, and we're done.
But then, you know, the weirdest part about this? You think that they'd do all that and then they'd come in just guns a-blazing with this NXT UK WWE show, and they'd just be popping insane houses for these TV tapings. They'd be doing record crowds. They're not. It's the fucking opposite. Like, they're not happy at all from what I've read with the numbers that they're doing with the TV tapings. And,
well, you know what it is?
Mhm.
It's because WWE, for better or for worse, and I'm not a WWE hater. Like, I don't want to come off that way, but the truth of the matter is they are so produced and so streamlined that they can come off as very homogenized.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it's like those television tapings, they're starting from scratch too. So you kind of, if you're like a network watcher, you have to give them some leeway because it's like the early days of NXT, basically. It's a new promotion, for better or for worse, with no background.
Yeah.
So
no angles. All these characters are just straight up presentation right away. It's hard to jump in immediately.
Exactly. And I've watched some of those episodes. They're all good, but there's nothing to catch you yet. Like, they're not at the status of like where NXT was when they started doing takeovers. You know, it's not. They're not.
There's nothing
there yet.
like must-see match of the year kind of noteworthy shit. It's like, oh yeah, it's good.
Well, there actually have been some matches that I would highly recommend. Like, every now and again, they have a main event that is like really under the radar. But as far as like compelling television, they're not there yet. And then, because it's so homogenized from what the UK audience has been getting, plus they've been able to pay way less for years to watch the same guys be in better programs, better promotions. They're fighting an uphill battle, and they're gonna do this if they try to go into any of these other countries. If they try to go to Japan or Mexico or Germany, they're gonna have this same issue every time.
Yeah, because the success of these promotions, like in these various parts of the world, are based on them presenting an exciting product that is unique and fresh for that actual market, and unique and fresh. Yeah, and they're not what the WWE does. Like we're saying that
they're gentrifying the UK's wrestling.
Exactly, that's the best way of describing it for me. Like, even their in-ring style, like there's a homogenization that happens to it. You take these really exciting, different in-ring styles that a lot of these guys have, and whenever they go there, you see that unique selling point of their wrestling is not really there anymore. It's just sort of
they've created cookie cutter wrestling, man. I'm a fan of the product, but they've tried to make everything so similar. So as soon as you turn on any WWE TV, you immediately know it's their product. You go to their belt, look the same.
This is the way we do things up here, pal.
It's Starbucks, guys. Like, I worked for Starbucks for a long time, and everyone loves Starbucks and they're great, but like the whole deal is when you work there and you're a barista, they're like, the idea is, doesn't matter what Starbucks you go to, you're getting the same product because it's uniform. And then
comes out of a fucking machine.
Yep, versus you go to like this uptown, like hole in the wall, like little cafe, and they have freaking excellent like self-roasted coffee. It's like a totally different thing. It's like unique.
Yep. Craft
and
baristas.
Cool guys with mustaches.
Oh yeah. And face tats. You got to have some face tats in a good hipster cafe.
They had Wild Boar on UK and NXT UK, and like he came off like just a guy, and I was like, oh my god, or like,
and he was so unique. Like the first time I saw Wild Boar in Progress, I was like, there is no one quite like this guy in all of wrestling. This is great. And then to take all of that, what makes him special away, it's like, oh yeah, this is what I expected.
Ligero just comes off like just a guy. Like a lot of them do. A lot of the guys just come off like, what's your gimmick? You're from the UK and you wrestle, and that's about it. And they're missing what the thing is. Like, the only guys that really have established characters, and it took all this time to get them there, is like the Mustache Mountain guys, you know, and it took 3 years to get them there. Yeah,
it's quite similar to like there was a big boom with WWE in Mexico. Quite a few years back when they first came in, got big time TV on the networks down there, and they were like real competition for AAA and CMLL back
Was
then.
like Super Astros or some shit?
No, sort of after that.
No.
I'm thinking like late 2000s, probably like 2006, 2007. But yeah, Super Astros is kind of relevant as well, more for like the Mexican product for the American audience. But yeah, this time where they really got into Mexico and were like really doing their best to put CMLL and AAA out of business, they were getting huge ratings, and you definitely saw CMLL and AAA kind of fall by the wayside at the time, and their attendance were hurt as well. Anytime WWE would come into town, their attendance would be cut in half because everyone spends their money to see the big Disney production, you know. But then fast forward a few years to now, I think last WWE tour they ran in Mexico City was quite so-so. I don't think they even sold out the venue. CMLL had a show, it was either the same night or the night after, and they did one of their best crowds of the year. And it's because you can see that crowd, like, all right, this is what WWE does, but that's not necessarily what we want out of our wrestling when it comes to a local product. So I think that's a good kind of benchmark for the way I see a lot of this happening. You know, they might get into a market, it's all exciting and shiny to start with, but then you watch it for a little while and it just lacks substance, you know. It's more like the Disney on Ice that you want to see once a year, but anything more than that, it's like, oh, okay.
And
There have
you know
been
what?
towns where Starbucks has moved in and it did not work. There have been Starbucks that have closed up shop because the local product, people still wanted to support it. So it can happen.
I think ultimately, if you want my honest opinion, I believe whether it's 10 years from now or however long, we will see a day where they're going to have a foothold in every major market. I just believe that because I think that's the vision, and I think that's what they want to do, and I think that they've got the guys in the company who know how to do it. One day we will see an NXT Japan, and we'll see an NXT Mexico, and an NXT Germany, and an NXT Spain or whatever, like, and Australia. Like, I think we will get to that point, period. Like, in Canada. Like, I really think we will.
Well, I think the variable on whether they can do that or not, because I think there is a big question mark, and it all comes off of how much WWE wants it to be a WWE product versus how much WWE is like, look, we know it has to be different for this market, and you can make it whatever you need it to be, and just give up that crazy over control mindset that WWE has been famous for. If they can just let, you know, what their presentation of that territory is going to be, you know, let it be what the people want it to be, then sure, I could see them having a lot of success. But I don't know, I can't really see that.
I mean, I think Triple H and Paul, whatever you want to call him, I think that I think
Uncle
he
Paul.
is I think he's a smart enough businessman to realize that, like, what Vince wanted to do all those years ago and basically say, we're going to destroy all of our competition, didn't work, because every time they destroyed their competition, someone just sprang up. Look at what's happening right now at the cons. I mean, literally, if someone has enough money and they're willing to invest, all they got to do is sign a check and you're right back where you were. So I think that with that, like, I think ultimately, yes, WWE wants to run everything, but I think what Triple H's vision is, well, we'll just basically incorporate these people and take over them. And I think that that's much more attainable and doable than the old method of running them out of business and then taking all their, you know, profit share.
Yeah, it'll be
That's what
interesting
they're
to
gonna
see
do.
how the ideologies change with the next generation.
Like the Borg. Eventually they'll just assimilate everybody, all one collective mind. Scary as hell. Way to go, Josh.
How about how crazy this is? Because I know that you guys talk about a lot of Crash and a lot of Lucha on your show. How about like AAA and CMLL working together this year, or
Dude.
not working together, but like letting guys work
Yes.
in both companies?
Oh, that's a great point that you brought up. I actually didn't have that written down, but I think that's a really ridiculously newsworthy thing. We touched on it before about just how amazing it is to see CMLL actually using guys that are working currently for AAA. Like, that's unprecedented before
I never thought I'd
this
see
year.
it.
It's insane. I mean, like we were saying, it's exactly like if you know, a guy was concurrently working for WWF and WCW, and you know, ECW every now and then, and they're all okay with
Rick Rude did
it. Yeah.
Like a span of a week or something.
RVD was Mr. Monday Night there for a while as well.
You know what? I always wondered about that. Like, I remember this flippy guy showing up one time, and he called himself Mr. Monday Night, and then he disappeared, and I was like, who was that guy? And then years later, I was like, oh, that was Rob Van Dam.
But yeah, like for Mexico, I mean, the big guy that I feel like is responsible for most of it is LA Park. And who's had as good of a fucking year in wrestling everywhere as LA Park? Like, he's had fucking some of the best matches in Arena Mexico this year, just these wild, out of control brawls that I haven't seen this side of like Bruiser Brody and Terry Funk. Like, he's had a great main event in the main event of Triple Mania, winning the mask of El Hijo del Fantasma. And like, he's just been killing it. And yeah, he's such a independent guy. You know, he doesn't want to be working, you know, for a company per se. He'll work with them, but he's not working for them. Again, exactly like Bruiser Brody, that same mentality. And he's just been killing it, and the companies can see, hey, this guy's fucking money. We do like double our attendance when he works for us versus when he doesn't. So we're going to be big-headed and say, no, we don't want you because you don't want to commit to us all the way, or we're going to use you. And they do, and then that opened the door to your Pentagon Junior, to your Phoenix, like, and it's been great. I mean, it's interesting to see how that's affected the local guys there, and sort of, I wonder what their mindset is of these, you know, local CMLL guys that are there on every show, and they're just trying to move up that card, and then they have these fucking guys from AAA come over and take that spot. And then we see like
I heard the story before.
Well, a dude that is that exact guy who was trying to work his way up that cards was Puma King. And then he just, I guess, just, you know what, fuck this, left, and then is going through a real career resurgence on the indies right now, and I really hope for continued success for him. But yeah, crazy year.
Doing a lot of stuff in Japan too.
Yeah. He was really great to see in person in Bola, by the way. Like, he was one of those guys that translated past the, we know he's a great wrestler, and we're marking out for, like, you know, your Walters and Thatchers and stuff. And then he was a guy that really translated well to, like, the more casual fans. Like, he was a big fan among the girlfriends when we did our whose favorite was whose. And yeah, Whitney and Courtney were just like, we fucking love that Catman.
That Puma guy, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's your Courtney impression? That's what you got with?
Fucking with her. Yeah.
She's gonna be real happy with that.
Yeah, I guess it's good. Oh man.
Yeah,
dude. Honestly, Bola, I've gone to the last couple of them, and with the huge eclectic group of talents from like Shingo to Dragoff, like, what an amazing year.
Mm-hmm.
Probably my favorite Bola.
So much variety. I think the big overriding theme of 2018 that we're kind of talking about here is just awesome variety. Like, there's something for whatever kind of wrestling you like. It's all out there. And that was never more visible than in Bola. Like, it was probably the most, like, international fresh Bola in so many years. Probably since like that UK scene was really blowing up, and I was just so impressed by so many guys.
We're down on Bola. A lot of people are down on like the lineup because you didn't see the presence of all the like indie stars of the past couple of years that were
stuff.
Right, but like the type of talent that they had, the Ilja Dragunovs and all the guys from Dragon Gate, Sema, and, you know,
Shingo
it was just
fucking killed it.
Shingo Takagi, like, yeah, it was freaking incredible. Like, to me, even though it wasn't like they didn't have the star power, quote unquote, they've had in years past, this was one of the greatest lineups that they've ever had.
It was so much better for it. Like, honestly, that show was so much better for it by using these like fresh guys that we know are fucking great, but like the casual
and such
indie
unique
fan
matchups.
Yeah,
like, honestly, like the clash of styles in almost every match just made it tremendous.
Yep, 100%. I was such a fan.
Hey, before we get out of here, I wanted to actually, the most interesting wrestling story that's happened yet, in my opinion, I think it actually happened last night. It looked pretty disgusting as well. Do you see this Priscilla Kelly video?
I wasn't going to talk about it. I wasn't going to talk about it. I was wondering if you guys were going to bring it up or not.
I have to.
I watched it. I feel like I'm maybe gonna differ in opinion on this to you guys. I don't know.
I just need to hear if you. The only opinion I need to know is this wrestling gone too far? Is this something? I don't think we'll ever see it again. It's done.
Was it a tampon? Is that what it was?
It was a tampon.
You know
like
what?
I said, food
When
it was all the works, of course. But
when I first watched it, I thought it was actually like a rubber goldfish, and I was like, "This is fucking great. This is creative. This is awesome." She took a goldfish out of her fucking vagina and put it in this chick's mouth. Bravo.
Oh, wait. Did she put it in her mouth? Because I didn't finish the video.
Yeah.
She put it in her mouth.
Oh, guys, I turned it off. Like, as soon as I saw something dangling, I was like, no.
Yeah, when I found out it wasn't a rubber goldfish and what it actually was, safe to say I was a little bit less enthusiastic.
January 5th, 6:24 p.m., Priscilla Kelly tweeted, she said, "A penis is funny and awesome. A vagina is disgusting and trashy. Equality."
That is a
and I gotta
bullshit fucking... I don't like that. Like, equating it to a man versus woman thing. Fuck you. Joey Ryan would not take, like, a fucking butt plug out of his asshole and then, like, put it in a dude's mouth. Like, that'd be the equivalent.
That is literally what I was about to say. I was like, I've never seen something come out of his penis and go into someone else's mouth. That's it's a little crazy. I don't know.
I think it's gnarly and gross, and but it's a fucking wrestling. She's a gross out kind of like. She does some pretty weird shit in her matches. Nothing that weird, and I don't think it's ever going to happen again. We don't have to worry about a rash of female wrestlers pulling their tampons and tossing them at each other. And
it'll be part of a movement, man.
Scenario.
It'll be part of the indie wrestling women's movement. It'll be a hashtag.
I think if someone was helping her with her career, they might have advised her to never, ever do something like that because it gets on the internet, and you want to get signed by. Yeah, you become that girl. Like, you want to get signed somewhere, and like everyone's like, "Oh no, that's the tampon chick." Like, I don't know, man. Yeah, I don't know about that one.
You know what my deal is? Like, I love fresh, wacky shit. You know, like I'm a big fan of GCW. Like we're just saying.
I don't think this was very fresh.
So and that's bravo, sir. It almost went under the radar for me, but yeah. Well done, Mr. Punderful.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I love different kind of shit, but there's a sort of a line where it like goes past something being, zany and wacky and different, and it's just something that's like, that was just like fucking low hanging fruit, It's like there's a difference between like doing a spot that's like really innovative and like hilarious and like, oh wow, I've never seen that before, and doing a spot like that where it's like kind of just equating it with like a dude just fucking getting his dick out and rubbing it in a guy's face kind of thing. I don't know.
Appendages are appendages. Body, if it's attached to your body, it's okay. If it's something that has to go in or on your body, we're not going to allow that.
I don't know about official qualifications. But...
All right.
So
that's a good way to end the show, I think.
Yeah, lovely. So just to see your side of the fence, Jeremy, because I thought you would be more like, 2019, just do what you fucking want. Wrestling is a wrestling, boom. Like, is that kind of where you're at, or what?
That's hell yes, dude. I honestly go to 321 Battle. It's my favorite wrestling company locally, even though we have the awesome DEFY, and they do weird shit all the time. There was one time a show where some guy transferred his bionic butt powers to another guy through this machine, and honestly, I had one of the best times of my life at this show. And as everyone's going along with it and everyone's having a good time, the people in attendance is all that matters. If the people who are at the show are enjoying it, then that's all that matters. You could dissect anything, any clip on the internet later and put your own glance on it or your stint on it. But hey, if everyone in attendance is having a good time, that's all that matters.
It's good to have differing opinions, and again, I'm probably not so enthusiastic about it as you. The thing that actually killed it for me.
Tampon thing's gonna be happening every year.
Well, no, the thing that killed it for me was her response on Twitter to it, where it got some heat, and then she just like stuck her feet in and was like, the worst part was where she had like a tweet and she's like started with, "Guys, it's fake," and I'm like, whenever you're fucking defending something by breaking kayfabe, good lady, I'm not a fan of it. I don't like it at all.
I did retweet her penis vagina comparison thing because I thought it was funny, and I followed up with her with letting her know that everyone know that the butthole is what's in right now. They need to get over this penis vagina thing.
Yeah.
It's all about buttholes.
More butt stuff,
I saw
please.
your retweet and I didn't realize it was you, Jeremy. That's hilarious.
Yeah, I retweeted. I'm like, it's all about the buttholes now, guys. But no, I mean, I don't want to see that kind of shit ever again. I don't mind seeing it one time. Yeah, I don't think we're gonna have to worry about it. If it did become commonplace, like all these female wrestlers decide to take up arms, like they think it is some really sexism stance, then oh my god, we are into a disgusting 2019.
It almost reminds me. Do you remember that ICW thing? I can't remember who it was, but the dude actually got like butt naked in the ring and like put his balls on he teabagged the dude.
Yeah, they teabag.
Oh my god.
Yeah. It's like
That's some DDT stuff right there.
Yeah, for real.
Paul London wrestled a while with his balls out at one show. I think it was Progress or Rev. I
remember he was more tasteful about it. He didn't take the complete trunks off. He just got some sneaky balls out of the leg.
Classy.
It's a classy touch.
Classy. You guys are stupid. Oh my god. This is why I love this show.
Thanks, man.
It devolves. All right.
I've had fun. Things? This is like, exactly what I wanted. It's not us going through a list of, Google what they say are the most, prominent moments of the year. It's just kind of our recollections, what were things among us, and just like an organic conversation of these, bullshit that there was, stuff that we want to talk about. So yeah, I enjoyed it.
I would like to say something before you guys plug stuff. So I mean, this year, Social Suplex is definitely something that's pretty much primarily run by like, Rich Latta and Jeremy Donovan, and then me and James are kind of their sidekicks when it comes to starting this stuff. And then we have a reoccurring cast of different guys that contribute to it, but this year we really wanted to kind of see this thing grow, and you guys were one of the first shows that kind of like jumped on, and we have grown like significantly, and you guys are a huge part of that. And I know that like we don't chat with you guys all the time because you guys live in different parts of the country and you guys kind of have your own lives going on, but like you guys should know you guys are a huge part of the success that this network has, honestly.
Aww.
Well, fucking A, man. Thanks.
Aww, that's sweet.
Group
so
hug.
Sweet. Aw, yeah. Bring it in, guys.
Thanks, brothers. I appreciate it. Yeah.
That's awesome
honestly,
to hear,
when,
man. Thank you.
Chris approached me about doing a show because I used to do the one for MLW. I've always had issues doing the show, just getting the will to get behind the microphone and just bullshit because I get nervous. But honestly, I can't be happier bullshitting with my international homie Chris about wrestling from time to time. So really
Likewise.
appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, man. Really fun. I'm glad that we have a reason to chat with one another every couple of weeks about our love for this crazy sport of ours. And yeah, we're stoked to be able to do it for Social Suplex and be part of the greater Social Suplex family. So thanks for the kind words, bud.
Yeah, absolutely. We definitely gotta meet up WrestleMania weekend, all of us for sure.
Oh hell yes, most definitely.
Yeah. That'll be great. And then,
you plug
it all
away
started.
First, Josh.
Yeah, please. What do you got, Josh?
Yeah, so I'm I guess so you can check out my show. It's called Keepin It Strong Style on Twitter. We're at KI Strong Style. You
My
can also
favorite
interact.
New Japan podcast on the internet. Just saying.
I think honestly, I know that it's my show, but I gotta be honest. I listen to almost every New Japan podcast, and I think ours is the best, honestly.
So it's the smoothest, I'd say. I like the.
I know that that's like a shameless self plug or whatever, but like I am really proud of what we do, and it's not just me. It's something about me and Jeremy working together. It's just like the chemistry. Like I never imagined that we'd have such a good show, but like we really do have a good show, honestly, and like I'm always proud of the product we put out there.
Yeah, man, I'm very enthusiastic about putting it over, and you can see how much work you guys put into it, and I think that's what brings it all home. So it's like when you're watching New Japan, sometimes it feels like you're just watching it on your own little island on your New Japan world at home. You know, staying up probably in the ungodly hours of the night after your girlfriend's gone to sleep, and you have to fucking make your way through
Getting
these
called
matches.
a mark by Vince Russo.
Right, but it's great to when you tune in to a show like Keepin It Strong Style, that you're like, fuck, there's all these other people that do it too, and these guys watch even more New Japan than I do, so fuck me, and it's great because the conversations that you guys have are definitely things that go through the mind of the viewer when you're watching it yourself. So it's like you definitely make the listener feel part of the conversation, which I think is a real success of the show.
I think this year too, and I mean, Jeremy doesn't know I'm going to say any of this stuff, but I mean, and I didn't know I was going to say any of this stuff, but like we've got definitely like we're growing the show this year. We've got like interviews on the horizon.
Ooh.
We might be doing some retro shows / match reviews, TV reviews, game shows. We also are kind of considering a debate show. There might even be a Patreon coming up in 2019. So, yeah, we're even kind of considering video. So, yeah.
Well, give me a phone call whenever you're doing some real retro New Japan match reviews. I want to get on board that.
Oh, Chris, you're on the short list. Like you're definitely going to be on that show.
Woo!
But yeah, you can check us out at KI Strong Style on Reddit. I'm Keeping It Strong Style. Jeremy Donovan is Pro Black Guy. You can also interact with us on our Facebook page, which is the Wrestling Squared Circle. Also, subscribe to Social Suplex with all the other great shows that we have. And yeah.
Man, you've killed it. Awesome. And I
hear Jeremy do it enough. So.
Nice. Well, you've pretty much hit off all of the plugs that I usually do for Social Suplex, so great job there, sir. I really wanted to ask you, what about your plugs to just rad shit? What you got?
Yeah, what kind of cool stuff do you like?
Well, obviously I love wrestling. I'm a big MMA mark. I'm a musician. Lots of people don't know that. I go out play shows all the time.
What's an album somebody should check out right now?
Oh, I don't know. I don't listen. It's 2019. Who listens to albums?
No, I mean, what's a record what MP3 are you listening to on regular rotation?
I pretty much just stream music, to be honest with you. So, because I'm not great. I'm at a point where I really am not like.
Put an artist over. Just put an artist over, man. That's all I'm asking.
I don't know. I'm always listening to Radiohead, stuff like that.
Fuck yeah, Radiohead is awesome. We're down with that. What's your favorite album?
My favorite album of all time?
Radiohead.
Oh, Radiohead. I like the Rainbows. That experimental one that they did in 2006.
Yes. Very good. I like Kid A a lot.
Kid A is so good.
Yeah.
I feel bad because like I love music, but I'm 30 and I feel like I am so out of the loop on how to find new music, and everyone else seems to, as the internet has grown and like our accessibility has grown, it becomes almost harder actually like pinpoint what's good and what's out there because there's so much more now.
100%.
That's true.
That's why Pandora and those services are so good. You could just hopefully just by like-minded music attachments. How do they tag all that shit? Like, all of a sudden,
I don't know.
It's impressive.
You like such and such.
I'm happy that Pandora somehow stayed alive through this year, because it was going to shut down, right? And then I think they're still somehow
serious
alive.
Serious about it.
Ah, I see. Good stuff.
There's actually a show coming up here pretty soon where the Avett brothers and Gary Clark Jr. are gonna be together, and I'm definitely gonna go check that out.
Ooh, dang.
Gary Clark Jr. is fucking awesome.
I love Gary Clark Jr.
I saw him and I think he opened for the Foo Fighters out here at the Gorge out in Quincy, Washington, and it was fucking what a powerful musician. He's amazing.
Oh,
Yeah.
speaking of underrated musicians, I wanted to put over Thundercat.
Oh fuck yeah!
You're onto him?
Oh yeah, Thundercat's awesome.
So good. I saw him in a live show here in Brisbane. We actually came over and played this cool venue that we got over here, the Trifford. And it was fantastic. Just so experimental and fresh and different.
I like
and fun.
Thundercat. He's kind of like Mac DeMarco and those guys.
A little bit.
I don't know if you know. Yeah, a little bit. Like I've heard them like played a lot together. Or like I'm trying to think the other freaking band I like. I can't remember. I suck at this.
All right, Chris. Now you put over your Twitter and your Instagram, and then something.
All right, Twitter. Hit the show up actually on Twitter. Hit the Grown Men Pod, where you can hear about where all of our latest shows are coming out. You know, if you're thinking there's going to be a show and you say, "What's going on?" There's no feed in our show. Jump on the Twitter.
Jeremy might be crying.
So. That's mean.
Oh, she got real there. She got real.
I love you, Jeremy. Don't put yourself down like that.
I probably will be crying sometime.
Yeah, me too. We all cry. We all cry. Grown men can cry.
Go on.
Yeah, you check out that Grown Men at Grown Men Pod, and you can see the reason why there's no show, because it's a holiday weekend and we didn't want to. We'll tell you.
We
those
didn't
things.
want to.
Work schedules and
Cool
such.
about doing a show.
Yeah. But I also the Chris Things on the Twitter, and most importantly at Chris Things on the Instagram, where you can keep tabs on the art that I'll be making, wrestling art, prints that are available. Hopefully I'll be making a bit more stuff accessible and purchasable for all of you lovely people into 2019. So please jump onto that. And in terms of rad shit plugs, I wanted to just put over fucking Bob Einstein / the Funkhauser. I was so sad.
Yeah,
another one that was taken from us this year. But it's such a talented man. I love me some Curb Your Enthusiasm, and he's possibly my favorite part of the show. I just watched a bunch of the Bob Einstein with Jerry Seinfeld on the.
Yeah, that clip is amazing.
So good, so good.
Tells Jerry that joke. It's like all brutal with the liver.
Oh, Funkhauser, so rest in peace. I fucking love you. Also wanted to put over.
Wait.
Yeah.
Before we go, are you guys gonna do an Arquette thing?
Fuck me!
Oh shit!
Oh.
Well, let me do my plugs and then we'll do Arquette because I got one.
Yeah.
There was a show. I actually don't know the results yet.
I've always wanted to be part of one, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for me, I am at Jaims Vanderbeek on both Twitter and Instagram. To put over some cool shit, check out the new Rob Sonic Defriender album if you like hip hop. It's pretty dope. 10 songs, really quick, tight, fresh. And then. So, pop-up show for NWA went down today. The hair versus hair match.
Has the hair versus hair match gone into the ring yet?
I don't know. That's what I'm checking. I'm checking the Twitter right now. This is a live update. Live update.
Live update. So, background for everybody. We had David Arquette that was going to be part of this pop-up show. And David Arquette had a series of video exchanges with the Josephus, who does like a bit of he's got a spiritual advisor. Josephus, that's it. Yeah. Good catch. Good save, my friend.
Yes, sir.
And he said to David Arquette he wants to be, team with him, help him out. All he has to do is shave his head. It's a sign of commitment, because his spiritual advisor has the shaved head and such. Then in a return interview, David Arquette was not down with this. He said it was the season where, what's it called, where new shows are coming out and he has to be looking good? The television industry.
Oh, pilot season.
Yeah, it's pilot season. He has to be looking good. He's not going to be shaving his head. And he basically concluded with giving Josephus the finger and then prompted to say, hey, you want me to shave my head? If I beat you, you shave your head. And then we had a hair match on the line. And let me tell you, there were some great videos done by Mr. Billy Corgan and his NWA 10 Pounds of Gold series and the build-up to this. I wanted to put that over, so I'm quite excited. But please tag what you got, Jeremy.
Whew, here we got, and the winner of the hair versus hair match.
Oh my!
David Arquette keeps his hair, everybody.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Josephus
is saved.
Josephus had a lot of hair that he was going to be losing on that one. Oh my gosh! I don't think he's had a haircut in many
Thank you for your
year.
reminder.
There was a part of me that thought to myself, I thought David Arquette is totally going to shave his head for the art and for the craft and just to continue to atone for his past sins or self-perceived sins. Like that's how dedicated this dude is to the wrestling business.
He's already sacrificed like his fucking neck and a good amount of his blood to this business. Why not also sacrifice his hair?
You guys need to compile all the fucking David Arquette clips that you've done this year and then put them together as one super episode and then get him to come on the show.
Oh
we
man,
get David on, that'd be amazing.
we need to. I've said before, we get Arquette, the show gets shut down. We're not going to get any bigger than that.
He follows me. I just got to talk him into it.
I think David Arquette would really come on the show if he found out that there's one show out there, just one, that is literally following him the whole time, because I bet you guys literally are the only ones who are doing this.
It's a labor of love, my friend.
But I don't want him to come on the show if you guys are going to shut down. That's no bueno.
It actually might cause a resurgence. We might be reinvigorated to do the show for another 10 years.
It'll be one way or the other. It just doesn't get any better than this. Goodbye, ladies and gentlemen. Or it's like, you know what? Fuck yeah, let's keep on going.
We're sticking around. Oh, amazing episode, gentlemen.
Great
Thank
stuff.
you so much for coming on, Josh.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, guys. Thank you for having me on. Have a good night.
Thanks
Hey,
a bunch, buddy. All right, well, thank you to everyone at home. Thank you, my podcasting partner, Jeremy, for a great 2018. I had so much fun. I don't know. I didn't even know if I thought I'd be going this long with this podcast. You know, you never know in this crazy world of ours, but I'm still having a boatload of fun.
Hell yeah, me too. Riding high.
Woo!
Well, get swifty, ladies and gentlemen. And to Courtney, thanks for listening.
Peace.
Peace.